Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, all of you, for attending this seminar. The topic from today is related to the impact of block stumping as one efficient and cost-efficient style of pruning to reduce coffee berry borer populations and reduce damage as well in commercial coffee farm in Hawaii. This field study was conducted in collaboration with Dr. Melissa Johnson from the U.S. Department, Kilo, and Dr. Mark Bright from the University of Hawaii in Manoa. So results from this specific field study already had been published in Crop Rotation during this year. I want to give my acknowledge and give the thanks to Andrea for the invitation to bring this seminar to all of you. And also I want to send a special thanks to all coffee growers and the people from the coffee farms. And you can see here the name of them and the name of the coffee farms and the institution that funded this project. Let's go to start. As introduction, we all know that the coffee berry borer was reported here in Hawaii in 2010, and today the coffee berry borer is still a serious insect pest affecting coffee plantations in Hawaii. We had improved a lot. We had worked very hard with many coffee farmers, with people from many other institutions, state or federal institutions, and we had created one integrated pest manager for coffee berry borer that includes several practices like monitoring, cultural control practice, use of biological control, basically based on the entomopathogenic fungus Beauveria bassiana, also use of the chemicals and post-harvest controls. When we put all of this together, yes, we can reduce the population and suppress the population of the coffee berry borer. However, it's very important to try to do those activities in efficient and properly and in the timing that is really needed in order to be success in the control of this pest. Here we can work with understand that pruning is a cultural control practice that normally is conducted by many coffee growers, not just here in Hawaii but around the world, to increase production, and also it can facilitate the control of the some insect pests and diseases. In Hawaii, we had different styles of prunings, like for example, we had block-stumping pruning. You can see in the top this graphic, in which one big block, all coffee trees are stumping and the total foliage of the trees is removed. So what happened in this specific block is like over 1 year there is no berries on the field that are going to support the coffee population survival and reproduction. So as consequence, when those trees are going to they are going to take about 1 year for grow new foliage, and after that they are going to produce flower and produce berries. So the population of the pests in those fields is expected to be relatively low. We had Beamon Fukunaga that is similar to the stumping, but this is conducted only in lines. Only one line from every 3 lines is removed, or maybe 2 lines from every 6 lines. It depends how the system is conducting in the every single coffee farm. But the idea here is we get lines with different age. We had starting from 0, like you see here in the picture. Then we get one line with 1 year of harvest, and then we get the second line for 2nd year of harvest. And when the second lines is finished, the harvest is the line that is expected to be stumping the following season. So every year you remove only 1 line. So we had also topping that in this case we removed only the growing points of the all verticals of the tree. So the tree become more robust or more bushy, like you see it in the bottom photo. And this is very common use most in Central America, and some coffee farmers they start to practice this is pruning style here in Hawaii as well. And we had the traditional Kona style that had been conducted here for many years. And what this style is, every single tree is expecting to be pruning, but only the old verticals, more than 3 or 4 years old verticals, are removed. In this way, a single coffee tree had the opportunity to get different verticals, all of them with different age. And this is the way that had been done here. So what happened with all of these pruning methodologies or styles is like they can make positive or negative influence the population of the coffee berry in this specific case. And as a consequence, they are expecting to impact positive or negative the coffee that is produced from those coffee fields. So we don't have too many data to support what pruning is best or worse, specific for the coffee berry borer. This study was conducted to see exactly what happened with that. And the goals of this study we had was to evaluate the impact of different pruning styles on coffee berry borer infestation and quality, but also to estimate what is the cost-benefit ratio of those practices. So, as a methodology, this field study was conducted in 25 different commercial coffee laws, 14 in Kona and 11 in Kau. And they had a variation between elevation between 750 to 2,200 feet. Also, most of the field, they were Caturra and Typica, and the size of the field between 1 to 8 acres, and densities between 700 to 1,500 trees per acre, and age between 5 to 25 years. So we had working during season 2023 and season 2024. Now here in the table, you see the treatment that correspond to the pruning styles, and we had divided block-stumping for the first year, because remember, we stumping the field, and it's going to take 1 year for growth foliage before flower again. So after flowering, we are going to see what happened with the population of CBB in this specific year, we call year 1, and then for the second year. And the rest of the pruning, Beamon Fukunaga, Kona style, and topping are there. The number of the field that we had conducted the study every single season. Now, the variables that we take in the field correspond first to the coffee berry borer infestation. That is very similar to the 33 sample plants that were recommended. Just is one modification of this specific plant that put focus only in green infested berries to do the calculation, instead to counting the total number of the green berries per branch. But also we did the efficacia harvesting, and this practice is selecting 15 radon trees for every single block, and counting how many specific cherries or over-ripening berries are left after a harvesting round is conducted. And there is a criterion here. When we find less than 5 cherries per tree, we can say the practice was excellent, was very good. When we get less than 10, we can say the practice was okay, was good. But when we let more than 10, we can say the practice was no good or was inefficient. So, and this had implication in what could be the damage of the CBB in regarding infestation in the field and damage when you harvest the coffee and are expecting for selling. So also we did bean damage, and we take samples between 250 to 500 cherries for every single plot, and made a classification of those cherries like you see in the photos, like the good ones and the cherries that show the one hole, that is the symptom of the CBB was there. But also we open every single cherry that was with a hole or infested, and we see what happened inside the cherry. In this case, we can see one of the seed was bad, the another was good. So we made separation of the proportion of the good one and bad ones. And with all of these data, we made the calculation what was the bean damage. So those evaluations were conducted during harvest season, September, October, November, in both season 2023, 2024, and in every single month of these ones, we did one evaluation for every single lot. So this is why the information had a very strong support for the statistic. So here, when we see the results, we use just for information generalized linear mixed model analysis, and we conduct two multiple comparison tests. But what is mean for us is simply that we can see here in the CBB infestation, for example, we can see the different pruning style, block first year, block stumping second year, Fukunaga, Kona style, and topping. And we can see what was the average of the CBB infestation in those plots, showing the range and the means from those variables. But also the letters are showing the statistical difference conducted by the two-kit test. In this case, we see like the high infestation was from Kona style and topping. And let's go to see a medium infestation for Fukunaga, and the lowest infestation for block stumping second year and first year respectively. So when we see the second graphic, that this is what happened when we collect the coffee cherries and made the classification of them between what was the good ones and the bad one, and what was the proportion of the damage. We can see here again Kona style and topping showing the higher damage, around 20-25%. Fukunaga was in the median, about 18%, and the stop blocking pruning first and second year, they show the lowest bean damage. So also we did evaluation of the efficacy of harvesting, that we can say here for every single treatment what was the number of the cherries left in average in a tree, and we can see again Kona style and topping showing the high number of the cherries left. That means the practice was inefficient. We see Fukunaga was exactly in the threshold, that is up 10. So we say more than 10 berries left is no good. And then we see block stumping for the first year and second year, we see they were lower than 10, that was the threshold, meaning that the practice was conducted very good or excellent. So also we did a correlation between the number of the berries left in average on the tree and the bean damage, and we find like when you get less number of the berries in the tree, you get the lower damage in processed coffee, and the opposite happens. When you let more, you get more damage. So that's making a corroboration that it's very important to do a clean harvesting in order to minimize the potential bean damage that we can obtain after we process the coffee. So from the economic analysis, we had here all the different treatments or pruning styles, and we had all of these variables. But just to see in yellow, you see the higher values for each one of them, and in blue the lowest. So block stumping, it was the high production, more than 8,000 pounds of cherry per acre per year. Also the high profit, more than $20,000, and we get for the cost. Kona style show the high cost of the practice and also lower production and lower profit and high proportion of the cost. And this proportion of the cost mean, for example, that what is the proportion of the coffee cherry that is produced in this specific year to cover the total cost of the pruning practice. And the cost of the pruning practice are like the cost to cut the trees and remove the material that was cutting and also cleaning the field. All of this is related with the cost. And then we make estimation of the benefit cost ratio. That means the yellow the highest, the blue the lowest. And what does it mean? That for every single dollar that the farmer spend in this specific practice, you receive in all of the case a positive. That means more than $2. All of them was positive. But Kona style was the lowest. So when we put this one in the context, we can say that Kona style and toppings, they was the worst related specific when very high CBB infestation in the field and very high damage. That this is that we don't want. We want to produce a good quality of the coffee. And Fukunaga was between those that was the worst and the best that was the stumping pruning. And I put this one in red color, being damaged and harvesting practice in all of them was inefficient, is in order to say that, okay, if we don't want to do a stump pruning for whatever reason, so we can do any of them, but we had to be clear that we had to improve the qualities or the efficacy of the all harvesting practice, sanitation, strip picking, clean harvesting, and timing the application of the Bavaria bassiana or pyronil to control the CBB in order to minimize the population, because we already know if we don't work very hard in that, the infection, the infestation could be high and the damage could be high as well. So as a conclusion, we can say from this study that was conducted in many fields, 2 consecutive years, we can say that block stumping pruning was the best. Why? Because we see low CBB infestation in those fields, very low bit damage as well, that this is all coffee farmers want, and they make more easy to do the harvesting practice or any kind of sanitation or strip picking, and also they produce more quantity of the coffee per acre, and also they had the lowest cost. Because another aspect that I didn't mention, just coming right now to my mind, is we do this one every 3 years, so the cost is supposed to be divided in 3 years in comparison with the traditional Kona style that you had to do every single year in total area of coffee production. So this is another benefit of the block stumping, is this cost could be reduced because it's only made one time every 3 years. If the cycle is about 3-year cycle, it could be 4-year cycle specific for coffee fat a low elevation, a high elevation, sorry. So this is the style that we recommend. We see that it had many benefits for reduced CBB population. Also, we noticed that it could be helped in the reduction of the coffee leaf rot as well in another field study. And we see really economic benefit from this practice. So thank you so much for your attention. If you had questions, very happy to answer. Again, thank you to all of you.